When we worship in spirit and truth, we actually welcome what? I want to talk about this just for a moment, so give me your full attention. God's presence is extremely important in your life and my life. We need the presence of God. And I need to help you to understand two sort of theological aspects of the presence of God. What is God's presence and what is it all about? Well, when we talk about the presence of God, we talk about the fact that God's presence, first and foremost, is everywhere. God is the omnipresent God, correct? Is there anywhere God isn't? Nowhere God isn't. God is everywhere. And so we can technically and appropriately say, anytime, wherever we are, we're in the presence of God. Why? Because God's presence is everywhere. He is omnipresent. It's one of the major aspects of the nature and character of God. The psalmist said it this way in Psalm 139. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? And there's that's sort of a rhetorical couple of questions, and the answer to that is nowhere. There's nowhere I can go from your spirit, and there's nowhere I can go from your presence. That should make you feel pretty good tonight, right? Nowhere you can go. In fact, he goes on this, if I go to the highest places, he's there. If I go to the deepest places, he's there as well. You can read this in Psalm 139, that God is indeed everywhere. You cannot escape the presence of God. Now, while God is everywhere, here's a second part of the presence of God that you and I need to understand if we're going to understand worship. God comes or shows up with His glorious presence in people, places, and situations, and He reveals what we'll call here, what I'm using here, His manifest presence. Say that with me. His manifest presence. What I mean by that is, while God is everywhere, there's no question that there's nowhere God is not, okay? There's also a dimension of the presence of God that will show up uniquely in people, places, and situations at times that you sense or experience something that's unique of the presence of God in your life. He's everywhere, but He also manifests Himself in your life in very real ways. You can walk through every day of your life and know that God is with you, but there are those moments you said, my goodness, I just felt the presence of God, or I just experienced the presence of God. Well, what's the difference? Was there the moment of a manifest? God shows up. That's all the word manifest. A manifestation is a showing up. It is a coming of God into your life or your situation in a unique way.